Hey, what's up, guys? An interesting Osprey book I had. Kurdish Armour against ISIS. Now, I'm not gonna get too much into the whole Syrian civil war situation. Needless to say, there's a lot of stuff that is not being told to you. And just the whole region in the last 20 years, the amount of bloodshed, the amount of death, horror that has happened has been because of the actions of the United States, straight up. So, to what benefit? To whose ultimate benefit? Who can say? But this book is interesting. It was actually co-written by a guy who was volunteering, fighting in the north with the Kurds, right? The YPG, right? The kind of leftist militia. Uh, Kurds, of course, the Kurds live all throughout this area. They don't really have a country. They got a real the Turks and them have a real beef with each other. But the focus for me is interesting. If you let's say you needed to have need to make an armored vehicle uh, ad hoc, right? What would it look like? I don't know. Well, they have some here. They have early on when they were fighting. Of course, ISIS was well equipped. They got it all from the Iraqi army. Okay, um, but it's interesting. The first improvised fighting vehicles they came up with, right? Sand crawlers, right? So you take a bulldozer and you armor it. Interesting, right? So you got the different, the single turret version, the double turret version. That's cool. I remember the double turret craze in the 30s, right? The May West. Well, it's interesting. You look at it. I mean, they're very crude. I mean, the turrets don't even move. They're literally like gun ports, or like something in a castle. So it's kind of the first they were making. So they made three of these apparently, and one of them actually was still intact. Believe it or not. You know, and you can see that there's a wedge in the front. These are made to ram through things. So kind of cool. And then you get further along here, right? You get look at that. What is that? Interesting. I mean, there's stuff here that there's only like a single photo of, but these look at the camo's bitching, right? Straight up, very fashionable. But of course, these improvised tanks they're kind of made with the let's say made in like the smaller bulldozers, right? Look at the cool welding on it. They look almost like the French tanks of World War I. And this one actually has a turret. They made a turret. They welded one together. I guarantee the turret's probably like a move with a lever, like the old Renault tanks. But interesting, right? The Ram tanks. So obviously the right ram through they ram through walls. So very cool, right? DIY tank. Very interesting. Gives you theoretically gives you ideas. Of course, never. I think it's probably against the law to make your own armored tank. So don't do it. But theoretically, if you had to do it or wanted to do it, it would probably look something like this. Look at this thing. This is kind of cool. Right? You got these weird digital pixel camos, but now it starts to look like something out of Mad Max, like a post-apocalyptic world. Well, at this point, after all the fighting, it is like a post-apocalyptic world. Although, I'll call back to if you want to see a really cool video, obviously you can't see it on YouTube, but Varg Vikernes's accounts of when he was a kid, when his father, an engineer, got a job in Iraq for the Saddam regime just before the Iran-Iraq war. His description of it's a long video. It's actually funny. So there's actually old photos that the father took. We talk about post-apocalyptic society. Of course, the apocalypse happened when? The apocalypse happened in the 12th century. Right? The Mongols broke the back of the Muslim world. Okay, particularly and in Baghdad in particular. Right? So it's interesting to see that video if you can find it. It's very interesting the descriptions of it. Literally, it was like a post-apocalyptic world then. So you have, obviously, you always have the ubiquitous Toyotas, right? Toyota, with the guns on the back, welded to the back. But this one here is they made a turret. They added it to this armored car. Now, the tracked vehicles are cool, right? But you don't really, you have it. It's not the Eastern Front in the 1940s in the Soviet Union where you still don't have friggin' roads in the 20th century. There still is enough roads here, even if they're falling apart. So wheeled vehicles are going to be faster and more maneuverable, right? So you're going to emphasize those more and more. Of course, you always have the old Soviet vehicles. Here's another one, a large truck, right? Armor plated. And this is cool. Look at this one, man. They took the turret from one of those. What do they call them? The BMPs, right? They put on here. Look, that looks like a Schneider vehicle, and they got the Schneider tank, the French, one of the early French tanks, right there. Look how cool it is with the ram front. And the author, a volunteer with the YPG, British guy. It's a good point how a lot of this stuff started to look like the early World War One vehicles, right? The tanks, and of course this one, like the has a passing resemblance to the British Rolls-Royce armored car. I actually have the book on that too. Very interesting. Rolls. I mean, they were using those in both wars. The British armored cars. So maybe armored cars. It might be more realistic to make. If you were going to do that, which you shouldn't do, and you still got the T-55s, man. They're still using those now. What's going on now? And hey, you too, buddy, you too. So of course you always got this. You always got the pickup trucks with the heavy machine guns and the gun shield in the back. So. What is this? Yeah, technicals, Duskas, right? So these are called Duskas. I mean, they were using these, man. They were using these for a long time. So very economical, hit and run. So interesting description of it. I mean, this guy was fighting with them. What's relevant? What's real? What's intelligence agency? I can't tell you. I'm only going by what the guy's writing. But here's this another cool armored car. Look at that. So that's literally a car. That's probably more of a regular vehicle than what you've seen in anything else. With the homemade turret, the interesting access to the engine there. So kind of cool. Yeah, protect those wheels. That's right. And there was an interesting part here as well. Let's see. I'm trying to run it out. I mean, what happened here? Man, remember those years? Man, it's like another. That's like another planet now. But it's interesting how I like this section here. The unit structure and tactics. This could also be if it's accurate, which, in the end, it's all war gaming, isn't it? But this section was very interesting on how the obviously light infantry with the small armored vehicles conducting combat. I mean, this wasn't, like I said, this wasn't the Eastern Front. This is probably something more akin to the Spanish Civil War. Interesting. So there's a kind of interesting regards here, right? So interesting book, man. One of the more unusual ones from the mostly historical World War II based Osprey publishing. So, like I said, DIY ideas? Of course not. So it's purely theoretical. All right, later.